Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the most recent Warhammer 40,000 updates. This video is sponsored by the Game Bunker. More on that later. Alright, so we got a bunch of recently added under the Warhammer community Warhammer 40,000 updates. So we have a Codex fact and errata for the Adeptus Custodes. We have the Death Guard Flyborn Host, Adeptus Custodes Lions of the Emperor, Index Guards, Imperial Agents Sanctifiers. We have the Codex fact and errata for the Adeptus Sororitas. We have the Grotmus Detachments facts and errata. We have Index Chaos Demons, Adeptus Sororitas Sanctifiers. We have Codex fact and errata for Eldari, Codex fact and errata for Death Guard, and then we have the Muntorm Field Manual and Codex fact and errata for the Emperor's Children. So quite a bit here. Overall, I haven't seen any massively substantial changes. The main thing I'm focused on is checking out the Muntorm Field Manual, as it's going to have the new Death Guard and World Eaters points. Alright, so here we have the Muntorm Field Manual version 2.5. And I didn't notice any actual points changes. All I see is the Death Guard and World Eaters updated points from what is published in the Codex. Alright, so here we have the Codex Death Guard points. So a lot of stuff didn't change. Some stuff went up. A couple of things went down. So let's take a look. We have the Chaos Predator, 135 points, down by 5. We have the Death Shroud Terminators, 3 models, 140 points, down by 20. Or 6 models, 300 points, down by 20. And we do see that a lot of the time lately, Games Workshop has been giving a higher points cost to larger or smaller squads based on how they benefit better in the Codex or in the rules. So in this case, a larger squad of Death Guard Terminators is going to benefit more from the various detachment rules, enhancements, or stratagems. So we see that there is a premium attached to a 6-man squad overtaking 2 3-man squads. Next we have the Defiler, 165 points, down by 30. We have the Maetic Blight Haulers, down by 20 points for 1 or down by 40 points for 2, so 90 and 180 respectively. We see Plague Marines available in squads of 5 for 95 points, squads of 7 for 130 points, or squads of 10 for 190 points. Then we see the Plague Surgeon down by 10 points for 50. We see the Plague Burst Crawler going up by 15 points, so 195. And we know Games Workshop not a huge fan of indirect fire or it being too strong, as people tend to spam it. Same thing with Flyers, so we tend to see a premium attached to them just to stop some of those feel bad moments for less competitive players. And then we see the Poxwalkers, so the 10-man squad stayed the same at 60, but the 20-man squad went up to 130. So again, a premium attached to the larger squad. Then we see our Tallyman down by 10 points, so 40 for the Tallyman. Pretty awesome right there, as a 40-point Space Marine character is pretty amazing and almost unheard of. The cheapest one in the Space Marine Codex is 55 points. I would gladly take a single Space Marine body to do actions and stuff for 40 points. Tallyman is an absolute steal. Then we see Typhus for 90 points, down by 15. We see the Beast of Nurgle down by 5 points for 65, or 2 down by 10 points for 130. And the Beast of Nurgle, very strong, but only available in the single detachment. We see the Great Unclean One down by 10 points for 250. And then we see Nurgling Swarms, 3 models for 35 points, or 6 models for 60 points. And we see that the larger squad of Nurglings no longer available. And then we got a couple of more models here. We had the Hellbrute down by 15 points for 115. We see the Lord of Contagion up by 15 points for 110. We see the Lord of Virulence down by 15 points for 90. We see the Malignant Plaguecaster down by 10 points for 60. And then we see Mortarion down by 20 points for 380. And then last but not least, we have Rotigus down by 10 points for 250. And then no changes to any of the enhancements. Let's check out World Eaters next.
Now a quick word from today's sponsor, Game Bunker. Game Bunker carries a full range of Games Workshop products, including miniatures, terrain, paint tools, and more. Game Bunker offers 15% off MSRP for most Games Workshop products with the discount code WHMS. Receive free shipping in the continental United States on orders over $145. Online orders ship out within 24 hours. Game Bunker is a veteran-owned business. Use affiliate link below, enter discount code WHMS to save 15% on most items at checkout. For fast, friendly service with a discount on your favorite tabletop wargaming purchases, visit GameBunker.net and let them know that Warhammer Man sent you.
Alright, so next we have World Eaters, and substantially less stuff available for the World Eaters, but we see Angron down by 25 points for 385. We see the Chaos Land Raider up by 20 points for 240. We have the Chaos Predator Annihilator down by 5 points at 145. We see the Demon Prince of Khorne down by 10 points to 200. We see the Demon Prince of Khorne with Wings down by 35 points to 180. Then we have the Defiler down by 65 points to 180. We see the 8-bound down by 5 points for a squad of 3 for 150, or down by 10 points for a squad of 6 for 300. We also have the Exalted 8-bound down 15 points for 160 for a squad of 3, or down 30 points for 320 for a squad of 6. Then we have the Forge Fiend down by 5 points for 150. We have the Hellbrute down by 45 points for 120. And then we see Jackals, the 10-man squad unchanged at 65, the 20-man squad up by 10 points for 140. So again, we see a premium attached to the larger squads because of buffs that are available to them in larger units. So being able to spend a single command point to buff a 10-man unit versus spending a single command point to buff a 20-man unit, obviously you're going to exponentially benefit the larger unit. Therefore, we see that premium attached. Then we have the Lord of Skulls up by 60 points for 505. So Lord of Skulls, very strong. Obviously a 60-point tax on him from what was published in the Codex. Then we see the Master of Executions down by 10 points for 60. We see the Mauler Fiend down by 25 points for 150. And then we see the Slaughterbound down by 5 points for 85. And then we do see some changes here to the Blood Legion Demons. So we have 3 Blood Crushers for 110 or 6 Blood Crushers for 220. And then we see the Blood Letters down by 30 points for 10. So only 90 points for 10 Blood Letters now. Looking pretty juicy. And then we see the Bloodthirster up by 5 points for 305. We see a 5-man Fleshhounds up by 15 points for 75. And then we see the 10-man Fleshhound up by 30 for 150. And these definitely needed to go up because 60 points for the Fleshhounds to be able to do up-down is just insane. 75 much more reasonable. And then we see Scarbrand down by 80 points for 305. So substantial cut to Scarbrand, now the same points as a Bloodthirster. So definitely some viable options right here. Some big changes overall, like massive points decreases for the World Eaters. Couple of things went up like the Lord of Skulls, the Jackals, the Land Raider, Bloodthirster, and Fleshhounds. But for the most part, we see massive points reductions across the range. So we'll have to see how the Death Guard Codex plays out and what we see here with their actual viability on the tabletop. So far, they are looking super juicy. I definitely think Death Guard are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then World Eaters as well, some massive changes to how the army plays. Initial reactions maybe not as positive, but I do think there's definitely some play there. I think it's going to shift up how you have to play the army, how the detachment and army rules work, which units are more viable or less viable, and how to play them on the tabletop. But I definitely think World Eaters always going to be like a strong stat check army. Anytime you can end the first turn in your opponent's deployment zone before they get to do anything, very powerful. So let me know if you have checked out the recent balanced data slates, if anything jumps out at you, any of the big changes to like your detachments or ones that you play against, any things you would have liked to see change that didn't change. What do you think of the new Death Guard points? What do you think of the new World Eaters points? And do you have any like viable armies out there? Have you seen any local or online tournament results that you'd like to point out? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And as always, special thanks to the Game Bunker for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on most Games Workshop products with code WHMS at checkout. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.